Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning into another Supatease video. And in this one, we are going to be breaking down all of these specializations for Midnight and which ones are going to be excelling in the Battleground Blitz or just Battleground format. So if you're a Battleground lover and you want to make sure that you're locking in on a specialization that's going to be able to give you top level results, then this video is going to be great for you. And if you want to make sure that you're staying up to date with news related to World of Warcraft and educational and entertaining content, then make sure to smash that subscribe button. Your support is greatly appreciated. Let's get started here, and sadly these tier lists, when I reset them, they always start with Affliction Warlock, and I always feel really bad about it because it just always ends up on the bottom. When it comes to random battlegrounds, you can probably do a lot of high scoreboard damage with this specialization, but with how high healing output is, it's really tough to actually like close kills on a target. In Battleground Blitz, 1v1 is like maybe okay. I think the best I could do for you here is probably C tier. You're probably going to perform a bit better than you will in arenas, especially with multiple melee on you, but it's not going to be too amazing. Arcane Mage, this one's going to give you really big single target burst, a decent amount of cleave with the barrage build as well. However, I think it's falling off from the other mage specializations and can be more easily disrupted. You do have good 1v1 though into a lot of melee classes, which are likely going to be very prominent, things like Windwalker and Ret Paladin in the initial stages, so it's likely going to make you feel a bit better than you otherwise would. But I'm actually going to maybe go a bit lower on my ranking with this one, mostly just due to the nature of the hard casting that comes with this specialization. I think it's much easier to lock down and you get a lot less value than the other current mage options. The invises can be nice, you get a bunch of different invises off with your barriers, absorption effects like that, but I think the damage output on fire and frost is a little bit easier to pull off and more guaranteed, which is going to deliver you a better result. Arms Warrior, sorry guys, you guys are just the bottom of every single tier list. You're the butt of every joke in every single bracket, and if they nerf you guys again, they must really hate you. I'm just gonna say they must really hate you. So, but the class changes are coming, and so if you get buffed here, maybe you just jump up here in one day. And I will be updating these tier lists as the season progresses, as I think the meta has advanced as well, to keep you guys completely up to date, which is another great reason to hit the subscribe button so that you never miss one of those beats. But right now, Arms Warrior, you're just really squishy, easy to take out, easy to kite. You do have Sharpened Blade, which is like one of the only really saving graces here, and maybe Spear, Champion Spear to pin targets. But other than that, just defensive mobility is the big issue, and damage output is not. You do the same or maybe less damage while being monstrously squishier and easier to kite. So it's just, there's no real advantage as far as trade-off. Assassination Rogue it used to be really good because you could just spam Garrote everybody, but now with the DR changes, it's a little bit tougher to do that, and your resources to re-stealth are also a lot more limited. I don't think it's going to be awful in Battleground format. I don't even think it's that bad right now in general. The Kingsbane burst window is really nice. The issue is that its frequency and its defense relative to subtlety. It just can't initiate as much as subtlety can. I think due to that lack of initiation, it is a rogue spec though, so I don't know if I can go too low with this. I'll go on B tier for right now. I think it'll be a good like flag carrier assassin, and the Garrotes are still going to be annoying for like healers when you're able to actually get in like on a team fight situation. Augmentation Evoker, it might be okay. You can buff up the group, decent mobility, rescue is great, swoop is great, the knockbacks off edges and cliffs and things like that can be nice. Damage output is not really insane. I can't see it being like too fantastic. I'm going to put it a little bit on the lower side of things here. Blood DK, I think, is a good Battleground Blitz pick. Just Death Grip, Chains of Ice, really good mechanically. You're very durable, hard to take out. You're going to be a flag spinner. People might not like you because you're a tank, though, but I think that it is a solid option. However, Guardian Druid, obviously, right now, again, across the whole game, we're putting Guardian Druid at the top. Big spinner, has massive damage, just unkillable force right now basically in the game. So Guardian Druid is one of the best options for tanks if you're going to go with one. Beast Mastery Hunter, damage isn't stellar. I think that it's just much better to be survival or marks. I think the burst damage is going to catch healers more off guard. The pets can get kited very easily and AoE CC'd a lot and cleaved a lot. I'm going to come in a little bit lower on this tier list actually with Beast Mastery Hunter and put it here onto C tier. With Brewmaster Monk, I think it's another good pick. It does decent damage, is durable, just like Guardian. Doesn't have really like a huge amount of utility. I think the Ring of Peace knock, actually the knock flip kick could actually be really good on some maps, considering they removed a lot of knockbacks. I'm just struggling if I want to leave Guardian as the only S tier tank. I think I might just put Brewmaster here, but obviously the tanks right now are doing a lot of damage, and they're very durable. So who knows if it'll stay like this? I'm imagining that it won't, but if it does, then they're going to be really good. Feral Druid, while you're leveling, it feels pretty weak, especially comparatively to Guardian. But you do actually have pretty decent 1v1. I don't think it's like completely terrible. So I'm going to come in kind of on the mid side of things for this. But these guys could easily, like, Feral and Asa could maybe jump up if they nerf subtlety a lot, or they bring the tanks down and things like that. I don't think Feral is completely unviable in this environment. Balanced Druid, on the other hand, I think is really good. It's got really good AoE builds, very good at ninja and bases. Cyclone is just really strong. Didn't lose too much as far as utility is concerned. And the 1v1 is actually a bit better on it since they buffed the healing on it. So you can actually take on some 1v1s. It's a really solid pick at the moment. Devourer Demon Hunter is one that people ask a lot about. How good is it in Battleground Blitz? Unfortunately, I'm a little bit worried about it. I think that it's got a long ramp, and if you're not at your like peak, other classes just go, and you're just erased at that point. I think you'll struggle with like the Marks Hunters. You'll struggle with the subtlety rogues that are going to kind of just burst you down. I don't think it'll be completely terrible again. So I'll come kind of in the midline of this. I think it does have some big bursts, but it takes so long to ramp to it that I feel like most classes will run you over before you even get to it. So it's probably just kind of on the mid level. Demonology Warlock. This is a tough one because in Battleground formats, it's usually not very good just because your pets get kited a lot. And that's the main issue. And I do think that there likely will be like some Frost Mages in the mix and some Death Knights, so it may be difficult to actually get mobility on the pets, but you still have a lot of CC, and I do wonder how much that CC can actually carry in Battlegrounds. It's really good in Arena with small group format, but in large scale format, is it the same? Locking down one target with a coil and a stun is really good, but when there's 5 targets, it becomes a lot less valuable. I think its damage output is still high enough that it'll still feel good, but I think the pet limitations are the main reason why it won't be like an S tier specialization, unlike this one. Destruction Warlock. This guy just does really good damage, really good burst one shots, has lots of schools of magic, which is great. Shadow Rift is really good mechanically as well for teleporting groups away from any sort of objective. So it's a really good option, really good for defense, just very good finishing power right now in the current meta. Devastation Evoker is another one that I think has really good throughput. You kind of got to get close to things, though. I think that range limitation is one thing that will take it down from S tier for me personally. The knocks are nice, the swoops are nice, the rescue mechanically is nice for Battlegrounds for helping flag carriers get across and stuff like that. But I think the limited range is the only reason that I'm pulling it down from S to A. You got to get really close, and a lot of these melee, if they can pounce on you, it's gonna be rough. Whereas these guys can play much more safely. That's the main reason. But this guy's a really good one if you just want something very easy and just want to blast damage through. Discipline Priest, I think is really good. I don't know if I should reserve only one spot in the S tier. I feel like I should. I'll put it onto A tier for now. Just really good damage output. Main limitation from S tier, I think, is mobility. You can get caught in chains of ice, get caught and not able to really escape. I think that is a hindering factor to take into account, even despite the fact that you have really good throughput in every other capacity. But the mobility, I think, is why I'll put it here onto A tier for now. Elemental Shaman. Ascendance is very scary burst window, but overall, other than that, you're probably not going to see a huge amount of momentum. But I do think that swelling damage from Ascendance is better than what like these guys offer in this tier. So I'm going to put you on B tier. I think the Thunderstorm also being one of the only remaining large knockbacks might give you some advantage, despite your damage being kind of low outside of Ascendance. So you have the ability to execute kills with Ascendance. You've got good utility with Nox and Static Field Totem. So I think that you can make it work, but it'll probably feel a little bit weaker. Enhancement Shaman, Stormbringer build, probably going to be doing a lot of damage, be able to get a lot of burst in 1v1 situations, so maybe not actually completely awful, especially on non-flag carry maps. Flag carry maps may be a little bit tougher. Again, mobility is the big limitation with this one, but I feel like you're not doing too bad in the Battleground format. I think it's safe to put you on B tier at least. Grounding Totem still really valuable amongst all shamans as well in this target group with lots of spellcasters. It can be really good. But you lost Thunderstorm. But for the main reason with this is just the momentum you can get during Ascendance can be crazy, and the healing. I think the healing can put you in a good spot as far as 1v1. Frost DK, I don't really see a lot of them, to be honest, so it's actually hard to rank. I do think Unholy is better. Frost kind of just a cheesy Soul Reaper build right now, or not Soul Reaper, Reaper's Mark build right now. I think the best I can do, you still have Chains of Ice and Death Grip, so that's already going to guarantee you have some viability. in the Battleground format, and you can do the same thing as Enhance with the big cooldown one-shot, and then it's just like outside of that, it's probably not going to be as great. Fire Mage, though, on the other hand, another guy that's just across the board, really good spec, just does really good damage during combustion, just absolutely rips, and is surprisingly tanky. They buffed the barriers recently, and they can be surprisingly tanky, except against Hunters. Hunters is the one thing that will keep you on your toes. Frost Mage is another one that I think is really good as well. Ice Wall is still a great utility on Mage. I do think it's maybe a little bit less than Fire, just because if you do get disrupted on Ray, you're going to lose a lot of damage, whereas Fire is like pretty undisruptible. So I think due to that, Frost is going to be a tier lower for now. Fury Warrior, it's got good damage, but I say good because it's like the same as these guys, but mobility and getting kited is the main issue. I do think you're better than Arms. Where do we want to put Fury Warrior? I still feel like I should put it here on C tier. I just think the mobility and the defense at the moment is really low, is the main issue. But the stacking Mortal Strike is nice if you can get in team fight situations. But team fight situations are far and few between. You're going to be doing a lot of like 1v1s, and I think that's where you'll struggle. Havoc Demon Hunter, I think its 1v1 is not bad, and I think that's the main reason why I'm actually going to put it on B tier. But it doesn't have a lot of burst is the main issue. It doesn't have a lot of finishing power, but its durability can be quite high in 1v1 situations, ignoring rogues. But again, Subtlety Rogues and Marksman Hunter probably going to be very popular. You're not going to like that too much. But I do think that its survivability, its healing and metamorphosis will carry you a lot in Battleground format. Holy Priest, I think, is good. It's got really solid AoE healing, throughput. You can toss out a couple Holy Fires for some burst, but again, mobility is the main limitation. I think Disc is... The Disc versus Holy is honestly a big debate. Which one is better? I think the overall damage output is just going to be more valuable on Disc than on Holy, but it might depend on matchup. If there's a lot of dot classes, which with Affliction down here, I don't know if that'll be the case. I'm going to put it in, we'll put it up with Disc. I do think it is a good option. It's just got really good throughput. Paladin, I'm going to leave this one until we cover the other healers, because this one's going to be the hardest one to do for Battlegrounds, I think. Marksmanship Hunter, on the other hand, is not hard to do. Just unkickable Chaos Bolts, really big burst damage, just camouflage to sneak up on people. Obviously losing the knockbacks, losing the scatter shots, going to be making it a little bit tougher as far as like executing kills on like a healer plus a flag carrier or something like that. But the damage output is carrying it really hard right now. Mistweaver was an obvious one as well. Onto S tier, just a really good throughput on both damage and healing and mobility. So it's covered on all three fronts there. Outlaw Rogue, again, frequency of burst is just lower than subtlety, and the actual burst itself is lower. I don't think it'd be completely unviable. I don't think you can do the grapple hook kind of cheese strats anymore. I think they patched those out, being able to like grapple in and cap a base really fast. But you could probably do it. You could probably do it. You're still a rogue. You still have lots of stuns and CC for healers and smoke bomb and things like that. So I think you can pull it off. But subtlety is just the frequency of being able to stun with 2 vanishes and dance on such a low cooldown is the main advantage. Preservation Evoker. See, this is why this is so hard, because I think in Battleground Blitz, Preservation Evoker is actually very good. It's a very good flag carrier with hover, snare immunities, and deep breath. Limited range, though, is definitely something that's potentially holding it back. I think A tier is probably the safest location for it at the moment, just mechanically. It might feel a bit more map dependent, and it may struggle to keep up with like Mark's Destro sub-rogue burst in some team fights, especially towards higher rating, but at lower rating I think it'll be all right. Prot Warrior, I'm for the most part, I'm pretty sure is considered the weakest tank just on throughput alone. So I think it comes in a little bit lower than the others, and it doesn't have the same type of utility. The best utility you're really going to get is like Thunderclap Root and Knockback from Dragon Charge, and it's just not. I don't think that's as impactful as some of the utility or just throughput that some of the other tanks have at the moment, unfortunately. Prop Paladin, really good. I think A tier is probably the best spot for it. You have a lot of cooldowns, which can come in really clutch. Burst during your big hammer window, divine hammer window is nice, but damage outside of that is pretty much non-existent. You're basically just a second healer, but that extra utility can be really good for spinning or carrying flags. Restoration Druid, this is one where maybe this is too harsh, but I think your throughput's just much lower. The type of value you get from like the shape-shifting cat form damage is harder to pull off because there's so much momentum, and I think you're very vulnerable to a lot of these classes. So I think this is probably a safer spot for you. Retribution Paladin, really good pick. Solid 1v1, lots of immunity, good trades, can team fight, can do decent overall damage. I think it's a really good pick for Battlegrounds. Restoration Shaman. I'm sorry, guys. You don't have Thunderstorm anymore. You got okay utility with like Static Field Totem and Roots, but so do these guys. The throughput's really tough. You will have to cast a lot compared to a lot of these guys, and you just don't do any damage. So if these guys are like almost out damaging DPS and you do 0 damage, you're just already at a massive deficit. And they don't have to cast as much, and you have to cast as much, so you're like struggling to keep up on their healing output, and you don't do any damage. I don't see it. Wind Shear's a 30-second cooldown, so you can't even like really just spam kick casters, and most of these guys are not going to be casting a huge amount anyways. So I just don't see it at the moment being too great. Shadow Priest I do think is good. Look how many range DPS, bro. I feel like I got too many up here, but I think Shadow's got really good 1v1, really good teamfight utility. Mobility maybe is the issue, so maybe that's the reason we could put it down here. I do think mobility could be a problem, but I think it's really good at the same time. So it might depend on map. I'm doing this just because of mobility, but I think it is deserving of S tier. Subtlety Rogue is easy game, easy life to coming up here. Just really good 1v1, really good team fight, tons of CC. The 16-second DR, so you can stun full duration every 16 seconds with 2 vanishes and dance on the low cooldown. Means you're basically just stunning anybody you want whenever you want. And you're almost KOing them at the same time. It's just a really good go-to. Survival Hunter I also think is really good. I'm going to put this onto A tier. Boomstick does a lot of damage. Wildfire Bombs do a lot of damage. Takedown Window is very scary. Probably very underrated when it comes to the Battleground format. Not really a popular spec, but I do think it is good. Unholy DK, another one I'm going to put up onto S tier. Chains of Ice and Death Grip mechanically are why it's up here, but it's got really good overall damage and decent 1v1 as well. So I think this is a great spot. Vengeance Demon Hunter, probably better than Prot Warrior, but I really don't see it too like almost ever. So this is hard for me. I'm gonna put it on A tier because I think Prot is the lowest tank, but Vengeance might not be here. Maybe it's an okay. Again, tank spec flag carrier could be sometimes backfire, but I think it could go here. It lost a lot of CC also is the main reason why I think that it might be lower, but I'll leave it here for now. Windwalker Monk, I think getting uptime could be a little bit tough in Battleground Blitz relative to the other melee, but you are very solid. So I think A tier is probably more than fair for this. But I think with most of your damage in Fist of Fury now is Shadow Pan with a bunch of like extra classes in the mix, that it could be tough. But your 1v1 is solid. Can be a little tougher in Battlegrounds though, because you do rely on like porting behind pillars to survive in 1v1, and there's not a lot of that in Battleground format. So I think the mobility and the open field nature of Battleground Blitz, I'm going to leave it a little bit lower. It also doesn't have like a huge amount of team utility like some of these guys have as far as lockdown or support. So I think it's probably more fair to be here. And then Holy Paladin, which is going to be the hardest one. Do I think it's deserving of S tier? I don't think you do as much throughput as Mistweaver. I think not being able to use some of your cooldowns on the flag carrier is an issue, but you're definitely not bad. I'm just wondering if I'm overrating anybody here in the A tier, or if these guys are all legitimately A tier. Like, should Holy Priest come down? I think that they are all legitimately here for their own, individual niche case. I think that I can sit with this and be okay with this. As far as my current thoughts on the specializations, these guys are very close to catching up, but obviously these guys are going to be your dominant ones. They're going to be killing it and crushing it. These guys will feel like decent, but have some possible issues or limitations, whether it's ranged or mobility or pets or disruption. And then these guys are going to have a little bit more of a struggle, but not too much. I think these guys are where you start to get like, you notice it a little bit more, and then these guys are like, oh my God. But that's it. That's my breakdown here for the Battleground Blitz format right now in the initial stages for Midnight. And do note there are plans for them to do class changes. So I will update this should that time come and should it require it. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.